Good vibes, guys. What's up? I'm back for another video today. And today we are going to be looking into the free agent signing of Gordon Hayward to the Charlotte Hornets. So, wow. Man, I was at work, and then my brothers were calling me. They started calling me nonstop, and I kept clicking off. I kept dismissing it. And then finally I picked up the phone. I was like, "What do you want?" And they're like, "Gordon Hayward just signed with the Hornets." And I was like, "What?" Because if y'all don't remember, Gordon Hayward, there was really major talk between the Pacers and Hayward. And so I kind of like almost forgot about him. It's kind of like Brandon Ingram. He just now signed a 5-year max extension with the Pelicans, right? But I had always considered him off the market just because, I mean, to be fair, he was restricted and Gordon Hayward was unrestricted, but I just kind of was like, well, Gordon Hayward's talking with these guys a lot, so I'm guessing he's going to sign with the Pacers or re-sign with the Celtics. I was more towards the Pacers than the Celtics, or a sign and trade. I actually thought that the Celtics were going to get Miles Turner for Gordon Hayward. But anywho, that fell through, and he signed a massive contract. He signed like a 4-year, $120 million contract with the Charlotte Hornets. And Twitter was going crazy, guys. Oh my gosh, the disrespect on the Hornets franchise. People were like, you just let go of Nic Batum, and you just give somebody else a contract just like him? First off, guys, we haven't gotten rid of Nic Batum. We waived him and stretched him out over 3 years, which is just as painful, in my opinion, because now we have to pay him for 3 more years. Even though instead of $27 million for 1 year, it's $9 million per year for the next 3 years. And but I'm going to explain in this video how Gordon Hayward and Nic Batum are much different circumstances than you may think. But before I get into that, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I'm starting to post more often, and I'm just basically, this is just like almost like a talk show. And I'm just doing what I love, just talking about sports. So anyways, let's keep going. So Nic Batum signed with the Hornets on a major deal that should never have happened. Nic Batum was not an all-star. He had been averaging at his most 15 points per game on the Trailblazers. I have no idea how he did that. I knew that he was a good player. I think, honestly, Nic Batum's one of his greatest highlights is probably passing Damian Lillard the ball to send the Blazers past the Rockets with Dame's buzzer beater. And that's all I remember Nic Batum for the Trailblazers. But then he signed with the Hornets on a major deal. I don't even know how much money, but it was pretty big. And because they were trying to fill out a team around Kemba Walker. And they needed a forward. They needed a small forward who could play make and score and hopefully defend. I've never really thought of Nic Batum as much of a defender. But I don't know. They signed him either way. And so, at first, people don't realize this, but Nic Batum's first year in Charlotte was actually pretty good. I'd say it was pretty good. And then they made the playoffs in 2016 and lost to the Heat in 7 games. But then he just started getting worse. Like, his production was worse. And then people hate on him. They're like, what? This dude getting paid $27 million a year or so, averaged like 3 or 2 points per game for the Hornets last season? Well, that's the other thing. So, just like Marvin Williams and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, James Borrego just stopped playing the veterans. He wanted it to be a youth-led team, and he wanted to develop the team. It was a great idea. I personally loved Marvin Williams. That's why I have his jersey hanging up there. I also have, if you can see it, way up there, I have a picture of Bismack Biyombo up there as well. Because I love Bismack Biyombo. He's the bomb. And we re-signed him too, which is awesome. I think for like a 1-year deal. I don't know how much. But yeah, I love Bismack Biyombo as well. And he was the only veteran they really played last year, unless you call Terry Rozier a veteran and Cody Zeller a veteran. But anyways, Nic Batum just fell out of the rotation because we didn't need him. You know, we had Miles Bridges, we had the Martins, and so we didn't have a place for him specifically on that team. And so it wasn't that he's a bad player, because Also, there's news coming out that contenders are looking to sign Nicolas Batum. Now, I don't think anybody has signed him yet, but the fact that that came out right after the Hornets waived him is just showing that he is worth something to people, right? A 2K rating shouldn't always determine the value of a player, which I think Nic Batum's is like a 73, just because again he never played barely last season because we didn't need him. Same with Willy Hernangomez, right? He was our third string center, and we didn't need a third string center apparently. So, but anyways, so Nicolas Batum, that was a failure. That was us trying to create something around Kemba Walker, get him to stay, and try and get us to make the playoffs, which we did one time, and it did not work out, right? So now people are wondering, why are you doing this with Gordon Hayward? Gordon Hayward was an all-star, and he was good. He was good. And him breaking his ankle or his leg the first night in Boston was a tragedy. That was tragic. Horrifying, honestly. But it didn't ruin his career. He has had several different injury issues over the years in Boston. But when he came back to that Celtics team, Kyrie was the best player, not him, right? There had been speculation on who will be the best player when Hayward got signed. But then, once he came back, that speculation was completely gone, right? And so, number one, I think he's signing with Charlotte because he wants to be the number one guy again, or something close to that. He wants to actually be able to lead a franchise, which he did great in Boston. Don't get me wrong. Even though he had injury problems, he did pretty decent, except in 2018-19 when he struggled shooting-wise. But last year, he shot like 50% from the field, like 38% from three. I think he shot a good free throw percentage. And here's what people don't realize. Gordon Hayward, right, averaged 17.5 points per game in the 2019-2020 season, this past season, as their fourth option. As their fourth option. Who are the three above him? Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, and then Jaylen Brown. Kemba and Jaylen Brown were very close. And then Gordon Hayward is their fourth option, averaging 17.5 points per game. That's insane. If he's the fourth option, averaging 17.5 points per game, what is he if he's the number one option? Or if they end up building the team around LaMelo Ball, let's say he becomes like a GOAT or something, right? What if he's the number two option, you know? And he's a playmaker, and he makes the team better, and he's a great guy. And that's what the Hornets need. They need a leader. They need a veteran, because Lord knows that team is very young. Minus like Bismack Biyombo and Cody Zeller, and I guess you can argue Terry Rozier, but even Terry Rozier is still kind of young. They need a veteran presence, and Gordon Hayward brings that. And I think he could be really good. And offensively, he is miles better than Nicolas Batum. Miles better than Nicolas Batum. Miles Bridges, that's funny. Get it, Miles? But he can score so much better and efficient than Nicolas Batum ever could, ever. And he is just an all-star caliber player. I'd argue even today. Now, here's the risk, right? Nicolas Batum, terrible, terrible, terrible contract. He just wasn't a good player. I mean, he's a good player, but he wasn't a great player, what we needed for that money, right? Gordon Hayward's issue is injuries. I think if Gordon Hayward stays healthy on the Hornets, he will somewhat live up to his contract. Now, I'm not going to say all the way unless he ends up being like an All-NBA player, which would be out of this world. Didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. It's like if Cristiano Felicio becomes an all-star. Like, nobody saw that coming. But if he gets injured and deals with injuries, that's a terrible contract. Again. And that goes on the Hornets record. And as a Hornets fan, all I've ever known is just people making fun of me for being a Hornets fan. They're like, oh, you've never won a championship. You can't even make the playoffs. First off, not to throw shade at somebody else, but Kings fans, y'all haven't even made the playoffs in over 10 years. So, chill. Okay? We're not the worst. The Knicks, I wouldn't want to be a Knicks fan. I wouldn't want to not have to watch the draft lottery every year. And Clippers fans, I mean, at least y'all are making the playoffs, but for what? You know? To blow 3-1 leads with Kawhi Leonard and ruining his reputation? Because now people aren't going to see him as, oh, this super great player. He could be in the top 10 all-time conversation. No, he's going to be known as the guy who went off to an LA team from Toronto, which was a great situation, which I thought he should have stayed on, and blew a 3-1 lead with Paul George. But anyways, getting off subject, I think this is a good signing for Charlotte. I really do. I think it can take us places, and I also think the Gordon Hayward signing with Charlotte is a good move for our future because he is a much bigger name than Nic Batum ever was, and I think he could attract free agents if he does well. If he does well, if LaMelo Ball is looking good, we could actually attract free agents, and that's what we've needed because since the Larry Johnson days, right, the Baron Davis days, right, since those days, our biggest free agent signings have been what? Al Jefferson, Dwight Howard, Nicholas Batum, and then Lance Stephenson? Exactly, right? It's just not good. It's just not good. I mean, you could argue Bismack Biyombo, but exactly, even then, right? We just needed that guy to get this franchise on a different level. And you know what? We are not in title contention, right? Quite frankly, the Hornets might not be in title contention in another 20 years, right? What I do know, though, is that it's going to be really fun to watch. I'm thinking of, if they don't trade Terry Rozier, which I think they will, I really think would not be surprised if they trade him to the Clippers. I'd like to see a LaMelo Ball, Devontae Graham, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, and Bismack Biyombo or Cody Zeller. I really wanted the Hornets to sign DeMarcus Cousins, but they didn't. The Rockets beat them to it. Hassan Whiteside's still out there. I think if the Hornets sign Hassan Whiteside, it's a wrap, and they're making the playoffs. Whether it's the 8 seed, 7 seed, or 9 seed battling in the play-in tournament against the 8 seed. They need a center. Let's hope they can find one soon, because Cody Zeller is not making that center position looking nice. I'd rather have Bismack Biyombo over him, and Bismack Biyombo's short. He's like 6'9". So, but anyways, that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I'll be back soon as more free agency details are coming in. And I'm not going to always be talking about the Charlotte Hornets. Don't worry, I'm not. I just want to build a channel for Hornets fans out there because I know there aren't a lot of us. But those of us who are out there are loyal and are going through a lot of crap these days. So yeah, that's all. And I hope y'all enjoy. Peace.